everyone, how are you today? I am Makeda Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon, and I'm live on IG. If you're on my IG page right now, you probably know who I am. I will be saving this video and posting it to my YouTube page, the Renaissance Amazon. So if you're on IG and you don't follow me on YouTube, be sure to find me at the Renaissance Amazon. And if you're on YouTube and you don't follow me on IG, be sure to follow me at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. Okay, so I hope you all are doing well today. For those of you who follow my work, you know that I'm a bit nerdy. I'm a critical thinker. I think for myself. I like to research, okay? And a lot of the videos you see on my YouTube page is about critical thinking on different subjects. I have a background in science. I was raised by scholars, okay, by very smart people. And ever since I was a child, I was always encouraged to research, fact check, think for myself, right? Use my own brain and think about what makes sense to me after doing adequate research. So today I want to talk about critical thinking, okay? Critical thinking skills, why it's so important, how to develop them, okay? Because I feel like, you know, there are a lot of people in this world who get brainwashed into cults, into believing bullshit, and it's like, how do you not get brainwashed? What is the key to not getting brainwashed? The key is having good critical thinking skills, okay? And I have spoke about this in many videos about how I do believe that being raised religious plays a huge role in destroying somebody's critical thinking skills, okay? Now, I'm not saying every person that was raised religious lacks critical thinking skills. I'm not saying that, but it definitely sets you back a bit, and it definitely doesn't encourage it, okay? In religion, you're taught to believe things blindly, okay? To just have faith. To believe, you know, what the preacher or the pastor or whatever religious figure is telling you, and you're really not supposed to question much, right? So the way not to get brainwashed, okay, even looking at, you know, what's going on with this election and why so many Americans voted for Donald Trump, why so many Americans believe that he's a truthful person, when it's obvious as day that the man is a liar. He lies about everything. So to me, for somebody who cannot see that, they truly lack discernment and they truly lack critical thinking skills, okay? Now, first of all, it's important to be critical as to where you're getting your information from. That's number one. So the person that is speaking on this topic, what is their background? What qualifies them to speak on this topic? You know what I'm saying? So if you have somebody speaking about what it's like to live in Boston, but they've never been to Boston before, never stepped foot in the state of Massachusetts before, but then they're giving a lecture about what it's like to live in Boston, are they really qualified to speak on that? You know, you could have people who've been living in Boston for 50 years. You could have people that have been living in Boston for generations. Don't you think they're more qualified to speak on that than somebody that's never stepped foot there, right? If you have a white man speaking about what it's like to be a black woman, right? He's speaking as if he's an authority on what it's like to be a black woman. But then you have black women who've been black women all our lives, and don't you think that we know more about that than he would, you know? I'm a nutritionist. I have a background in nutrition, sports science. I've been a trainer and a practitioner, training people, being a nutritionist for about 20 years now. I have lots of experience at the academic side of things and the practical side of things, right? But yet there are people who've never worked with people before, never taken science classes, they don't know chemistry, they don't know nutritional biochemistry, but then they want to argue with me about nutrition, about health, when it's not their background, and they've never even worked with anybody before. So how are you more qualified than me to speak on this? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people take their advice from memes on social media. You know, with all of the social media, you would think people will be smarter. But people are not smarter. It's dumbing people down. Studies show that people, especially young people, do not have the ability to be able to tell fact from fiction anymore. To be able to tell fact from fiction anymore. I remember when I was growing up, you had to go to the library. When you're in school, like this started in high school for me, but also when you're in college, when you're in graduate school especially, you have to back up all the claims you make with citations. You know what I'm saying? Where are you getting your information from? Cite it. Cite it. You can't just make claims. You can't just talk. Anybody can talk and say anything, but is it true? So getting your fact-checking skills up, knowing how to check facts, and not just believing something because it's going around on a meme. I see so many memes that people post that supposedly a quote from somebody, and it's not correct. That person didn't even say that. Anybody can put a quote in some famous person's face and say that they said that. Did they actually say that? You have to fact-check these things. People put memes up on social media about what foods you can get vitamin A from. And it's all wrong. It'll have carrots and mangoes. No, you can't get vitamin A from plant foods. But you look at this meme and you think, oh, it's on the meme, it must be true. Okay? Then, so it's like, number one, knowing how to fact check, knowing how to dig deep. I remember being on the debate team in the 7th grade. I loved being on the debate team. And the first thing that we learned was to research the arguments of both sides. You want to research the arguments of the person that you are going to debate. You want to look at both sides. And the same is true when you're doing research. You don't want to have a narrow mind of like, I'm only going to focus on people that think this. You want to look at what the other people, their opposing viewpoint says as well. So for years, I never would speak up about my opinions about veganism and how I believe that it's a bunch of nonsense. For years, I didn't say anything about it because I was still researching from a nutritional standpoint, historical, biological, archaeological, anthropological, spiritual, historical, epidemiological perspectives before I spoke on it. So you want to be sure that, because what's going on right now with Donald Trump? My tolerance for people who give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, my tolerance to people who think that he might be telling the truth and, oh, he's done wrong. And it's like, if you look at the people, who really know, the people who've worked with him, worked for him, worked under him, the people who are on the inside, the people who've had their feet on the ground, the people who are involved in the organizations that watch over election fraud, the people who've been researching those things for years and what they say, And the fact of the matter is, there's no history of voter fraud in this country. There's a history of voter suppression. And even in this last election, we saw that. And Donald Trump openly spoke about how he was trying to suppress the vote. He openly said it. So to me, another thing about having good critical thinking skills is observing the obvious. Observing the obvious. There are people who tell you who they are, but you don't want to believe them. There are people who tell you who they are, and they act like that, then they show you who they are, which is exactly what they told you, but you still can't observe the obvious. And when it comes to Donald Trump, I'm not going to get into a long list of things, but it's just like the man is facing all kinds of criminal charges when he gets out of office. When has that ever happened? Everything that he's ever done, hey girl, everything that he's ever done has been lies, 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 scandal, scandal, scandal. So many people that worked for him under his presidency went to jail, was indicted. The man has shown that he cares about nothing but himself. He's shown that from day one. And then as he's leaving presidency, he's about to try to drag the whole country down with him, putting our national security at risk, putting a lot of people's lives at risk, just to save his own ass. But you can't see that. If you can't see that, something is wrong with your discernment, something is wrong with your critical thinking skills. If you're a black person and you think that Donald Trump may care, okay, girl, send me an email. We can get at it. You've actually been on my mind recently. So I'm talking to a client on IG. Sorry for the interruption. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, talking about observing the obvious. And then you have, like, his niece, who she has a doctorate in psychology. So not only is she a family member, but she has a doctorate in psychology. So she is somebody you should listen to. She's somebody that would know. So you have to be, in order to develop your critical thinking skills, if you're so confused, you don't know what to believe, check your sources. Who are these people that you're listening to? A lot of people have opinions, but do they have facts? A lot of people make statements and blanket claims, but can they and do they back it up? You should go check the sources yourself as well, and know how to put it all into context, okay? Then remember to observe the obvious. A lot of people don't want to believe. A lot of people look up to, certain archetypes, or, they look up to their pastor, they look up to their coach, they look up to whoever. They don't want to believe that that person is grimy. But you got to detach from that and observe the obvious. Okay? And religion, again, gets people to, it's like, it gets your mind, it programs your mind to be a follower. Okay? It programs your mind to not go against the grain and what the so-called norm is and what's accepted. Being raised religious trains your brain and prepares your brain to go into some cult-like shit. To get sucked up into a cult where you're just listening to the leader. So I feel like, and again, this is no offense, but especially to the people who are raised religious, it's really important to be conscious of developing your critical thinking skills. Because a lot of times, you've been handicapped and you don't even realize it. Just from the training of believing things with very little evidence. Just having faith. You need facts. Okay? Faith is cool. But where are the facts? Let's get down to the facts. Okay? Let's get down to checking multiple sources. Multiple sources. And listening to the other side. Putting things into context. Asking questions. Okay? That's another part of critical thinking. Asking questions. And good questions. Ask questions. Just don't believe things blindly. And after that, putting it all together and what makes sense to you. So many people aren't strong enough to do that. They want to just go along with what their favorite celebrity thinks. They want to go along with what their friends think. They want to go along with the popular opinion. You know what I'm saying? Instead of really fact-checking, critically thinking, putting things into context. Simple. Fact-checking. All those things. So I think I have made my point. Everybody's not an expert at everything. There's too much information in the world for us all to be an expert at everything. But that's the reason why it's even more important to be conscious and careful of who your sources are. Is this person qualified to talk about this? Stop taking nutrition advice from celebrities. I'm using this Slim Shake, or I'm putting on this waist trainer. How do you know any of that is good for you? Do you really know if that's good for you? How does a celebrity know? The celebrity's not a healthcare practitioner. They're telling you to take it because they're making money. You have to be smarter than that. That's how you get brainwashed. And unfortunately, most people on this planet are programmed that way, just to go along with what their favorite celebrity is doing, go along with the norm, go along with what's popular. Too many people are like that. And I think this younger generation even more so. It's important to read. Read, and read. And not reading bullshit, because you could read bullshit or you could read scholarly texts and things that are worth reading. Okay? And I also think when you read and you do research, you don't want to just focus on one thing or people who just believe one thing, right? So, for example, I grew up with a dad who was very much into history. He was a professor of Afro-American studies, but at the same time, he has books about everybody in the world. You want to talk to him about China, you want to talk to him about Russia, you want to talk to him about the Middle East. He understands what's going on in all those places. He's not just focused on just places like, where black people are. he has a good understanding of world history, world politics, what's going on in the entire world, okay? So it's important to have a holistic view, and also listen to the dissenting opinions and arguments of other people. You have to have a broad scope. You can't just be like, every book I read, I want to read books by people who only have my opinion, or, you know, people who might be popular, but they're not even really qualified to speak on this. Just because somebody has a lot of followers doesn't mean that they're qualified to speak on this. You know, you want to speak to people who have first-hand knowledge in that, you know? And you got to really be critical. I don't know what else to say. To me, critical thinking is like drinking water. It's like common sense. But I realize a lot of people don't have that. And a lot of people are brainwashed, you know? A lot of people get brainwashed on the bullshit because they don't know how to fact check. They haven't developed their critical thinking skills. You know, even the schools that I went to, the New York City public high school that I went to, did not believe in textbooks, you know, in history textbooks. They believed in artifacts and primary documents, and having us use our critical thinking skills to think like a historian and not just go along with the okie doke of what the general shit that you've been told. You have to dig deeper than that, you know. I have an amazing book collection, and reading books by people who are qualified to speak on what they're speaking, reading books by people who do research, real research, and not just yapping off at the mouth with their opinion, okay? Facts, facts, facts. Where are the facts? Are there facts to back up what this person is saying? Are there facts to back up what you think? What are the facts? Let's not be afraid of them. Let's not run from them. Let's deal with facts. Opinions formed from looking at facts. You hear something, look it up for its validity. And that's how you prevent getting brainwashed. Okay? So I'm going to leave that at that, all right? Once again, my name is Michaela Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. If you're on IG and you do not follow me on YouTube, be sure to follow me at the Renaissance Amazon, because I do have things that I post on YouTube that I don't post on IG, and vice versa. If you're on YouTube and you don't follow me on IG, be sure to follow me at the_Renaissance_Amazon_81. And please let me know your thoughts about critical thinking skills and whether or not you feel like they're important, which I know they are, and how you recommend developing them, or what do you do? What do you do to keep your critical thinking skills on point? Do you work on your critical thinking skills? Let me know. All right, so until I see you guys again, have a great day. Bye-bye.